What's happening, guys? What's going on YouTube? Good morning, everybody. You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today's video should be fairly brief. I always say that and I ramble on, but today's video should be pretty short. What I wanted to talk about in today's video is the huge glaring problem I see with the NFT market space, or the NFT marketplace. And I'll just put it right out there at the beginning before we kind of get into more depth and discuss it a little bit more. The biggest problem I see with the NFT marketplace is there's no end user. There's nobody who actually likes this art. There's nobody who actually wants to collect this art. It seems like pretty much everybody who's in this space is into this space because they think I can buy this and sell it for more money later. Now, that's a criticism of the cryptocurrency space by people who don't understand crypto or aren't in crypto to begin with. But cryptocurrencies actually have utility. They have real-world uses. There's not really any utility or a real-world use for a PNG file of a cat or a JPEG file of a dog or a video clip of LeBron James slam dunking. There's not any utility for it. And with a lot of collectibles, there isn't utility, right? Like if you collect baseball cards or historical era stuff, like, yeah, it's tangible. And I think we have an easier time wrapping our head around collecting something that's tangible. But ultimately, like, what are you going to do besides look at this item, right? So to some extent, I think all collectibles have this problem. But the biggest problem I see is, again, there's no end user. There's nobody who really needs to get their hand on this. Where, you know, people who collect baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, you have true sports fans who, I want to get my hands on this card. I need this card to complete my collection. And yeah, you do get people in the space who are flipping things and just in the space to make money. More often than not, it's probably a hobbyist who's also making a little bit of money to support their hobby or is selling one card to buy another card. But yeah, there are people who are in the space purely to make money and resell and profit. And I think you're going to have that with any space. But if you don't have somebody in the space who's actually the end user who actually wants to get their hands on this item, it just becomes the greater fool theory where it's like, I'm only going to buy this because I know somebody else will pay more for it down the line. And I think we've seen a lot of collectibles marketplaces collapse when too many people rush in and it becomes all about the money and you don't have an end user. And I think Beanie Babies, I hate using the Beanie Baby example because that's the example a lot of people throw out there to criticize cryptocurrency. Again, cryptocurrency does have utility. But think about Beanie Babies, right? Beanie Babies started out with little kids, little girls collecting these Beanie Babies. And they wanted to get the whole collection, and I'm missing this character, so I need to get this character. And that went on for a couple years. And then at some point, you know, moms and dads and grandpas all started rushing into the Beanie Baby space. And, you know, they didn't have any interest in Beanie Babies. They just bought a Beanie Baby because they figured they could sell it to somebody else down the line. And when you get more people looking to make money in a collectible space than you do people actually wanting to collect these items, eventually the space is going to collapse on itself. And that's what ultimately wound up happening with Beanie Babies. I've been making a lot of videos talking about these NFTs lately. I know a lot. I've made a couple videos talking about these NFTs lately. And it's kind of interesting when you look at NFTs versus like traditional collectible marketplaces. I know a guy, older guy, who used to own a collectible store / gift shop. So he sold china, he sold Yadros, Beanie Babies, a lot of those things that like your mom or grandma maybe used to collect. And at some point, people just stopped collecting them, and eventually that marketplace kind of died, and he wound up having to shut down his store. And he said to me, people your age, they don't have china cabinets, they don't have big houses, they're not really looking to collect things. And, you know, the older people kind of start dying off or stop caring about the things that they collect. And, these Yadro characters or china or, crystal figurines, like all this stuff that people used to be into and used to have a lot of value, just the marketplace dries up and there's nobody who wants it anymore. And I think it's kind of interesting how we place values on things in collectible marketplaces. I think one thing that's kind of interesting, there's a great documentary on YouTube, and it's about a kid who his father dies and his mom calls him and she's like, you have to get here. You got all these baseball cards, up in the attic. You got to get these things out of there. So he goes back and, it's been 20, 30 years since or whatever. And he's like, wow, it's been a couple decades. These cards probably have a lot of value. And he starts bringing them around to card shops and card shows. And it turns out that there's literally no value in these cards. And the problem is the cards were overproduced. What's kind of interesting with the card marketplace nowadays, everything's limited edition, refractors. There's a piece of Babe Ruth, bat embedded inside of a card. A lot of cards are limited, one of one. So these things have value right now. One thing that eventually came out years later after the collecting market kind of collapsed, and that's kind of featured in this documentary, is, you guys remember Upper Deck? Upper Deck was like one of the first new cool card companies, right? Like it used to be Topps and Fleer and Donruss, and Peachy Premier was kind of a cool new one. But Upper Deck had like these glossy cards. They weren't like the cardboard Topps cards. And it was kind of the cool new card. And Upper Deck cards used to go for a lot of money. But eventually it wound up coming out that basically, whether it be like the Michael Jordan playing on the Chicago White Sox card, Upper Deck was literally just printing sheets of these supposedly valuable cards. So there's these, quote unquote rare cards, but rather than putting a rare card insert into a card collection, Upper Deck was just printing sheets and sheets and sheets and sheets of these, and it was basically a license to print money. I'm actually surprised Upper Deck is even still around and respected as a sports card company after it came out what they did back in the 90s. But nonetheless, they still are a big player in the card marketplace. But I just think it's kind of interesting how marketplaces are dependent on people thinking something is rare or valuable. I'm kind of going all over the place here. And I remember there used to be a television show called Antique Roadshow. It was on like Public Access or Channel 11. And it was kind of an interesting show. Do a search on YouTube, Antique Roadshow. But basically what it was, somebody would, receive something from their parents, find something in their dead mom's house, buy something at a garage sale, a flea market, and they'd bring it into this Antique Roadshow, and they have, historical experts and collectible experts who would tell them what it's worth. And it's kind of a funny show because someone will come in and they'll be like, oh, this is a rocking chair we've had in my family for 200 years and da-da-da. And then the guy looks at it and he's like, your mom bought this at Home Goods like 2 years ago. And, they're all defeated. But then you'll get somebody else who brings in this like ugly brass vase. And they're like, yeah, I got this at a garage sale for $2. I just figured I'd bring it in and see what it is. And the expert will look at it and he'll be like, this is General Custer's spittoon that was found at the Battle of, Running Bull or whatever, and it's worth $700,000. And the person's like, oh my God, that's crazy. So it's kind of interesting how we place value on things, how somebody can buy something for $2 and it turns out to be worth a lot more. But I guess kind of what I'm getting at here is I think in order for a collectible marketplace to actually succeed and thrive long term, there needs to be an end user. There needs to be somebody who actually wants to collect this item, who isn't just buying it to sell on to the next person. I realize in the art world and the sports card collecting world, even true collectors are constantly flipping their collection and trying to profit and resell and make money. But there is somebody out there who's actually interested in the subject matter or the object that's being sold. And I just don't see that with the NFT marketplace. In the video I made yesterday that got posted today, I'm not sure if I'll post this video today or tomorrow, but the guy who bought Beeple's 10-second video clip for $6 million, when he gives a reason for why he bought it, he didn't even say, I really liked the video, I wanted to have it. He says, I'm familiar with Beeple and his work, I know this is going to be popular, and I know I can make more money. So even the people out there paying millions of dollars for NFTs seemingly don't have much of an interest in the NFT and are just buying the NFT because they know somebody else will buy it and they can make money. And I feel like without a true collector in the space, eventually this whole thing is just going to kind of collapse on itself. Another thing I notice about the NFT marketplace, and this isn't so much a criticism as just kind of an observation, it could potentially be a problem. Obviously the NFT marketplace is very young, it's very new. And, if you look back to when the internet first started, when we were sitting there ASLing people on AOL Instant Messenger, I don't think anybody foresaw that we'd be streaming videos and playing video games online with each other and social media would exist and everything that the internet turned into is what it is. Back then it was all grand ideas, and those eventually did come to fruition. With the NFT art marketplace, one thing that I notice is even people who are into the space are like, look, I admit it, right? Like, buying JPEGs of a cat or PNGs of a dog or a gift or a 10-second video, it's kind of fucking stupid, right? Like, they're really, it is kind of hype right now. It is kind of like just excitement and hype, and there's not, nobody really wants this stuff. But what a lot of people point to is like, this does have a lot of potential. Like, maybe you want to own a Picasso painting, but you could never afford a Picasso painting by yourself. You and 1,000 other people could go into some type of like community NFT, and everybody throws down one Ethereum, and then you're one of 1,000 people who owns this Picasso piece. And then if down the road you guys all as a community vote to sell this Picasso piece, maybe it sells for 3 times what your stake in it is, and you wind up making money off of it. So people also talk about how you can tie tangible real-world collectibles to the blockchain to kind of verify and authenticate them. So with the NFT art space, a lot of the stuff that people are talking about, even people who are really enthusiastic and into the space, are kind of talking like more, there's a lot more potential here than what's being done today, and what's being done today is kind of the ground floor, the beginning, and admittedly it's kind of bullshit. So let me know your guys' thoughts on this. Like, how do you feel about the NFT space? Is it in a bubble right now? Is it overhyped? Is it just immature and it needs to grow? Do you guys, kind of notice or see what I see, which is there's just kind of a lack of end users in the space who actually want these items? Let me know your guys' thoughts on this. I forget if I mentioned this at the beginning of the video here, but don't forget about the Nano giveaway. Drop a comment down below, include your Nano username or your Nano address, and 5 people in every video are going to be getting 0.1 Nano. I notice a lot of the comments are getting caught in spam. I am kind of like whitelisting you guys so that your comments in the future won't get caught in spam, and I am going through the spam comments section and plucking your guys' Nano addresses out of there, as well as approving your guys' comments. Somebody the other day was like, hey, you didn't send me Nano. I've been sending Nano to more than 5 people per video. Initially I said I was going to do 5. In reality, I probably wind up doing 7 or 8 people per video. If you didn't get picked, it's because somebody else got it, but I posted my Nano wallet or a screenshot of my Nano wallet on the community tab. You guys can check it out. I am sending out the Nano, and we'll keep doing it. So keep commenting, keep dropping your Nano usernames or your Nano addresses, and I'll keep sending you guys Nano. Drop a comment, thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.